All right, welcome to the fourth tutorial for editing text and changing fonts. We've actually covered quite a few of these things for text that I wanted to go over as far as purchasing and loading fonts. We covered that in the getting started. The type tool, we've used that in our previous tutorial, and text frames are very similar to the graphic frames. They have those little handles on the corners and the sides, so we kind of touched on a couple of those things. There's a few more things about text, though, that I need to cover with you in order to edit your templates. All right, so let's get started. All right, just to remind you of the couple of the tools that we're going to need for this tutorial. This is our tools palette, and it's very similar to what you see in Photoshop if you're familiar with Photoshop. Both these programs have a type tool, and the symbol look exactly the same with a little T to indicate that's the type tool. We're going to be using this a lot, so let's click on that. All right, I'm going to start off with showing you kerning in the masthead because this is going to be very, very important. If you're changing the font from what I'm currently using, which is Easy Street EPS, if you want to change that to, say, Minion Pro, so go over to the character panel and change our fonts from there. Let's type in Minion Pro. Now I'm going to anticipate that my text is going to be a lot larger, or the new font that I'm going to choose is going to be a lot larger than the current one I have selected, which is at 200 points. So I'm going to lower that to 100 or 72 points just so that I can keep it within this text frame. And I'm going to go up to the character palette and I'm going to select the current font and change it to Minion Pro. You can also scroll through via the drop-down menu on the character panel and choose your font that way as well. So now we have a new font for our masthead, and it's at 72 points. I'm going to bring it back up to, let's say, 100, and see how big that is. So in the character panel, the very first drop-down menu is the point size. I've changed it to 100. 100 is not big enough. I'm going to 125. Let's try 150. We can actually select pre-selected point sizes, but I've gone over their selected point size of 72, so I'm actually putting this in manually. 150 is too big. Let's try 135. 145. All right, getting there. 148. All right, the magic number looks like it's probably going to be 147. All right, now you see this masthead and you see the letters between these, see the space between these letters? That's called the kerning area. Some of these letters are spaced further apart than others, and I don't like that, so I like to bring them in so that they're as even as possible. So I start off with the first 2 or 3, depending on how much space is in between those. And over on my character panel, there's an AV icon. This is where you want to change the kerning. You can use it in the manual drop-down menu, and I start off with that in their increments of 5, 10, 25, 50, 75, 100. And I start off with 25 at first, just to see how much space that brings it in. And that seems to work really well with those 2 letters. I'm going to go over to M and O, select those 2 letters, and this one looks a lot bigger, so I think I'm going to start off with -50. And that looks good. It actually brought in the U as well, so I'm going to leave it as it is. And whatever font you're using, except for scripts, this doesn't usually work very well because scripts connect to each other from one letter to the other. This works better with fonts that are not connected to each other. Okay, now that we have our masthead adjusted, I'm going to go into refining the look of this. I want to bring it down, and I want to show my guide so that I can see where I'm placing this centered through the safe area. And I actually have a lot more space between this one. I think I might even increase the size of my masthead just a little bit. So I'm just going to select the text frame and scale it up from 100 to 105%. And maybe another 102%. All right, that looks much better. Now I'm centered right within that safe area for the text. And just going to move it up, the masthead up just a little bit to adjust the layout a little. And that looks really good. I use a placeholder text called lorem ipsum. It's just there to give you an idea of how much text will fit into that space. and it gives me something to play with so that you can see where headings are, subheads, and body copy are. I have a couple of text areas on the front. You can change any of this text by using the type tool and manually typing in what you want it to say. You can also open up a text file with some pre-written text in it, so all you have to do is copy and paste from it. So let's just start with using a text edit program. I like to copy my text from a pre-written program called a text edit, which I haven't used in Mac. And I open up this program and I copy and paste my text from this into InDesign. So let's find a text page, a page in InDesign that actually has headlines and things. So I'm going to jump over to page 4 and 5. This particular spread has some body copy, a headline, and a subhead that we can use to play with. Let me go back in my text edit program. And I'm going to select this headline and I'm going to go to Edit to Copy. I can also use a keyboard shortcut of Command-C and go back into InDesign. And in my headline, I'm going to select that text with the type tool and go to Edit to Paste. Now, InDesign will continue to use the same text that I have in that text box or that text frame, so you won't have to change anything. Although you'll notice that it went from all caps to upper lowercase because the text that I copied it from was upper lowercase. So if you want to change it back to uppercase, just select the text, go to Type to change case to uppercase. And if you lose your text within that text box, just grab the side of the handle of the text frame and pull it out or extend it out further. And I don't need all of this headline here. I added too much for demonstration. So I'm just going to delete all of that and bring my text frame back in. There's a keyboard shortcut actually to reduce the size of your text frame so it actually wraps closer to the text. And that in a Mac is Option Command-C. Just to keep it out of the way so it doesn't interfere with another text frame. Alright, now we're going to go to the subhead and I'm going to go back into my text edit program and select the subhead, Command-C for the keyboard shortcut or Edit to Copy. Back into InDesign, use your type tool, select the subhead text, or you can go to Edit to Paste or Command-V, V as in Victor, for the keyboard shortcut. And again, Option Command-C to reduce the size of the text frame.